Feels like a repeat, but once again, Cody Bellinger and the Cubs tied together through another National Baseball Insider. We're going to talk about that. Could the Cubs be getting Bellinger and Matt Chapman? Well, there's another expert that says that Chapman is a possibility for the Cubs. Could they get both? I think that's a question that's worth asking. And a former Cub reliever that pitched on the 2016 World Series championship team called it quits. We're going to talk about all of that right here on the Cubs Baseball Channel. Thanks for hanging with us, guys. Make sure that you like and follow. Let's get this thing started. Go Cubs! Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Cubs Baseball Channel at Broadcaster Mick on the socials. And it really is great to have you guys here to talk some Cubs baseball. Now, I know we have gotten into this. We keep talking about it, but you have to keep talking about it. The best player on the team last year was Cody Bellinger. So the fact that he's still a free agent, the fact that he hasn't signed yet, we knew that he wasn't going to sign through the month of January, which felt like it was 3 months. It felt like it was like 80 days in that month. It's finally over. Here we are on February 1st, and something's got to happen, right? It tells me that obviously Scott Boras isn't getting the deal that he wants for Bellinger, but I feel like the Cubs are just waiting when they're serious about making a deal. It feels like the Cubs are going to be serious about getting him back on the roster, but we'll find out. I mean, a lot can change, and that's obviously, something that you constantly pay attention to in the world of baseball. But, all the experts keep saying that it's going to be Bellinger to the Cubs, and that the industry insiders say that. This time it's John Morosi again saying that he feels like the Cubs are the team. Now, I think we talked about it on here, but if not, you guys know that there's also been reports that the Cubs haven't made a formal offer to him. Bob Nightingale, I think, was the guy that put that out. And basically it's not that the Cubs need to give Boras a formal offer. It's just been that the sides really aren't to that point yet. And it could come down to 5 or 6 years. Scott Boras has reportedly has been wanting over $200 million in the contract. I think the Cubs probably want to be somewhere around like 130, 135. Maybe you go up to 150. But the fact that the two sides are still linked together tells me that, first off, there's no smoke for anywhere else. I mean, you keep hearing, well, maybe the Giants. Well, maybe the Yankees. Well, maybe the Angels. But nobody's really excited about paying Cody Bellinger $200 million. They just don't want to take the risk. And you can feel that with the negotiation. But at the same time, I feel like the Cubs really believe in him and are willing to take that risk, but not at that money. So as this progresses, we're going to keep on watching it. I'm just telling you right now, you're going to be watching TV or you're going to be driving and you're going to turn around and it's going to come across the bottom of your phone or something that he signed with the Cubs. I just feel like the two sides need each other. And I feel like this could also push another deal. And how crazy would it be if the Cubs ended up signing Bellinger and they ended up getting this guy to Matt Chapman? And I think that, and when I say this, I really feel like that it's a good possibility if you can get Chapman on a one-year deal. And we've seen that in the past, the Cubs are willing to give a little bit more money to not have to have that second year in there. So you don't get the second year but you get more money, right? And I think some players like that, because then if they have a good year like Bellinger, you're going to be in position to go out there and take advantage of it, and you're going to get your multi-year deal. Mark Feinstein said he thinks that it's still the Cubs and the Giants for Chapman. I love the idea, though. Bellinger at first, Nico at second, Dansby at shortstop. This guy, Chapman at third. I mean, you're talking about that is a defensive infield right there, right? I mean, think about that. And then you got Happ in left, who's a Gold Glover. You got, probably Hollywood peak Crow-Armstrong in center. But we'll see. It could be Alexander Canario, could be Bellinger, depending on the day. And then you got Suzuki and Wright. That is a solid team. I still think the Cubs are very weak at catcher. I do like Yan Gomes, but he's getting up there in age. And if something happened to him, I just don't feel comfortable with Miguel Amaya as an everyday catcher. And I don't look at the farm system, guys, and see another catcher that's really going to slide up there and take that spot. And we'll see what kind of development that Pablo Aliendo has. And then they've got the whole host of guys that they signed, the 4A guys in the offseason. Maybe one of those guys steps up, but I'm just not, that's the one position I don't see a lot of depth. If you get Chapman, then maybe you get Shaw at third, or maybe you get Morel at third to kind of learn from him. Watch him. It's on a 1-year deal. But who knows? It's just interesting that both of those guys are Scott Boras clients, and both of them are kind of linked to the Cubs. If you're talking to Scott Boras all the time and you're the Cubs, I'm going to wonder if you can get a discount, like when you go to the antique store. Look, if I buy that, can I have that for this price? Like when you watch like American Pickers on television, and and they're like, yeah, sure. You take him for that, then we'll give you this. I don't know if that's even a thing. But it wouldn't surprise me if there wasn't a little bit of that going on with the way that some of this stuff goes down, right? But really interesting as we progress forward with these guys. All right, final thing I want to talk about today. Short show, but important show, and that's this guy right here. Joe Smith retired. Love Joe Smith, man. I just like those sidearm guys. I don't even know why. I guess just as a kid, you would watch the Dan Quisenberries of the world, and you'd go out back and try to throw like that. And then, you see these guys, Cishek, who pitched with the Cubs, could do it. Joe Smith, I remember him coming in, being on the Angels and the Mariners. 16 years the guy was in the big leagues, just popping up at different spots and throwing sidearm. He didn't end up pitching in the World Series. He got a ring, though. He got hurt, I think. But the bottom line is the guy had a great career, and we wish him the best as he retires and moves on to doing something else, And I can remember Greg Maddux talking about it, I said, well, did you hurt your arm? And he was like, no. And I'm like, well, what happened? He was like, my back, just felt like his back couldn't hold up the pitch anymore. Is it fielding the position, right? So it might not be his arm. I mean, those guys, the sidearm guys, are like rubber arms, but there's so many different parts of pitching that's not just throwing the ball. I mean, who knows for him, but we wish him the best of luck. And one of the really fun deliveries that I can remember over the years in that Cubs bullpen. All right, guys, that does it for the show today. Obviously, we're getting impatient when it comes to what's going to happen with Cody Bellinger. But my advice is just be patient. I saw that it was really funny. The guys from Obvious Shirts, they have like the Cubs logo, but it says Cody in there. And they want to sign Cody. Look, it's funny, and I'd like to have one of those shirts, but don't put pressure on Jed right now. Just let him handle. He's killed it this offseason. I know everyone wants to Jed, just get it done. I'm saying I'm really impressed with the way that he's handled some of these contracts this year. He's not getting beat up and down the field with bad deals. And I know it's like, well, hey, let's get him signed. Who cares? Well, you're going to care when you got a Hayward situation and you can't spend money to improve the team because you got an albatross in the outfield that is sucking up a big portion of the money you have and not delivering, so you got to be really careful with the way that you spend your money. Anyway, comment section, hit us up in there, man. Thank you guys again so much. Sorry, I've been in Key West on vacation, but I did not forget about you, so don't forget about me. Go Cubs, everybody, and I will talk to you guys again tomorrow, or it might be Catfish.